Welcome to A Change of Heart podcast. I'm your host, Angel Walston. And in this space, we navigate life together. We ask the hard questions like, what is the truth you haven't told? But most importantly, we grow together. And sometimes that leads to a change of heart. Hey everyone, welcome back to A Change of Heart podcast. And the first order of business, happy Black History Month. Let me give this disclaimer. I did not forget that it was Black History Month in the first episode. However, the episodes are pre-recorded, and so I recorded that one in January. So at that time, it was not fully on my radar that I should be saying Happy Black History Month. But we're in February, so Happy Black History Month. I want to encourage you all to take a moment to share this episode, share with a girlfriend, y'all know the deal, and we're going to go ahead and jump into today's question of the day. So, if you could travel anywhere in the world, all expenses paid, flight, food, hotel, tours, excursions, all of that. Everything is paid for. Where would you go? So I was thinking about this, and somewhere that I have always wanted to go that I think is absolutely beautiful is Santorini, Greece. I don't know why I said it with that accent, but that is where I would love to go. It just seems just such a pretty place. Like, it's just beautiful. Every time that I've seen someone post pictures from vacation there, it just looks stunning. And I just feel like it's a very romantic place. I just have that in my head. I could be wrong, but I want to go there with my husband, not my best friend, not my boyfriend, but my husband, because it just seems just so romantic and so just like a really cute vibe. So that is where I would love to go. You all know the deal by now. Leave your answer in the comment section if you're watching this on my YouTube channel, or you can answer it when I post it on my Instagram stories at Angel C. Walston. All right, so speaking of traveling, today we are talking about destination addiction, which actually has nothing to do with traveling itself. However, not traveling somewhere per se, but I wanted to talk about this because I feel like, especially with us as millennials, that this is a topic that is like we're aware of it, but not really talked about all at the same time. And so some of you may not be familiar with destination addiction. And so some of the ways that destination addiction is defined are the idea that success is a destination. They are addicted to the idea that the future is where success is, happiness is, and heaven is. Destination addiction is a preoccupation with the idea that happiness is somewhere else. So somewhere else in the sense of somewhere else other than where you're at right now. And that is a quote from Robert Holden's, it's, I guess you call it like an essay called What is Destination Addiction? And I'll link all of the articles that I'm referencing in the description box. And then I believe it's Aisha Bo, I hope I pronounced her name right, says destination addiction is used to describe the belief that happiness is in the destination or can be found somewhere else rather than in the present. And that's from her article, How to Keep Destination Addiction from Stealing Your Joy. And so as I was looking at different articles about destination addiction, I came across this list from Robert Holden in regards to how destination addiction may be present in your life. Now, this is not an exclusive list, so there may be other things. So don't think that just because whatever your thing might be is not on this list, don't think that don't apply to you. Do a self-evaluation, do a self-check, because it might apply to you as well. So some of the ways that destination addiction may be present in your life. So whatever you are doing, you are always thinking about what comes next. You cannot afford to stop because you always have to be somewhere else. You are always in a hurry, even when you don't need to be. You always promise that next year you will be less busy. Your dream home is always the next home you plan to buy. You don't like your job, but it has good prospects for the future. You never fully commit to anything in case something better comes along. You hope the next big success will finally make you happy. You always think you should be further ahead of where you are now. You have so many forecasts, projections, and targets that you never enjoy your life. Essentially, destination addiction is this constant chase for the next best thing. And I work in the criminal justice field, and therefore I encounter, unfortunately, a lot of people who struggle with addiction. And one of the things that has been said about people who struggle with drug addiction is that they're chasing the effects or the feeling of the first high that they got, essentially. And so that made me think about how destination addiction works, and not to compare it by any means to the severity of someone who has a drug addiction or deals with alcoholism by any means. Let me make sure I'm clear on that. But think about something that you really wanted or were looking forward to. So maybe it was a new job, or you wanted to move, you wanted to buy a house, you wanted to get into a relationship, take a vacation, you wanted to have a baby, or you had a baby. You know, something comes to mind that at some point you were like super excited about, you were really looking forward to it. Now, I want you to think about how you felt once you got the thing that you were looking forward to. Now think about what feelings you experienced and what thoughts ran through your mind. So you may have been anxious, but you were probably excited, you were happy, maybe you felt accomplished, you were probably proud of yourself, you felt successful, it was fulfilling. You probably had that, yes, I did it, like I finally did it, I finally got it moment. Now think about what your thoughts and feelings were 6 months to a year later. And keep in mind, I'm not referring to what you thought or felt of the event that we previously described. I'm speaking solely in a general sense, okay? So this might not be the case for everyone, but for most of you, you've already found yourself chasing the next high or chasing the next thing. So for example, maybe your initial high was associated with you getting a new job. And that felt like a win. It's like, I got this new job, I'm able to earn more money, I'm able to, move somewhere, whatever it might be. It feels like a win, right? Then 6 months to a year goes by, if it even takes that long, if we're being honest. And although you may still like your job, there's this feeling of unfulfillment that's starting to set in. So there's this nagging feeling that you need something else, you need another win. Then discontentment starts to set in, and you think, maybe if this changed or if that changed, then I would finally be happy, or I would feel like things are finally working out in my favor. And here's the thing, when you're also looking at things happening in other people's lives, whether it's your friendships, people you're seeing on social media, it feels like everything that you want, everybody else is getting. It's working out for everybody else. Everyone else is happy, living their best life. Everybody else is getting wins, but you feel like you're stuck. You feel like you're stagnant. So you decide to move. You end up buying a house, and your initial high is right back again. You're excited, all of those same feelings of excitement, happiness, and feeling accomplished, successful, relief. All of those feelings are back, but then a couple of months later, you're back in the same space of feeling unhappy, unfulfilled, but you still like your job. You love your house. But maybe if you had a man, that's it. That is what would make you really happy. That would bring everything full circle. And we get stuck in this cycle. But the truth is, even in loving your job, your house, your mans, and all of that, eventually the excitement, all the feelings associated with that initial high will wear off, because you're in this constant rat race of chasing what is next. And so let's change that narrative and reframe this idea of destination addiction. So one of the ways that we can do this is by identifying how we define and measure success. So the literal definition of success is the favorable or prosperous termination of attempts or endeavors, the accomplishment of one's goal, the attainment of wealth, position, honors, or the like. So that's the definition of success. But the real question is, how do you view it? How do you measure it? And the reason I ask that is because for a lot of people, success is equated with happiness, although they don't always go hand in hand. And for some people, they do believe that accomplishing goals, attaining wealth, position, honor, all of these different things will make them happy and fulfilled. But if that was universally the case, why have we seen people who would be considered wildly successful based off of the dictionary.com definition? Why do we see these people committing suicide? We see these people still speaking on being unfulfilled, being unhappy, being lonely. You get where I'm going with this? The reason I'm driving this point home is because with this idea of destination addiction, you can be addicted to a false reality of what happiness looks like or even what it is and what will fulfill you because you have a misinterpreted view of success. You're constantly chasing accomplishments to fulfill you. You're constantly chasing after life events to relieve your disappointment and discontentment. You're constantly chasing money to buy your happiness. You're chasing the titles, positions, and acknowledgments, and you don't even realize that because of the unaddressed issues that you have when it comes to destination addiction, you can get everything that you want. Everything on your to-do list can be checked off. You can accomplish all the things, but still end up feeling empty, unhappy, unfulfilled, and unsatisfied. And I'll talk about this a little bit more in depth in another episode, but I did a mentorship for Change Hearts about 2 years ago, maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago. And I remember thinking how it would be so fulfilling because one of the things that I really am passionate about, that I enjoy doing, obviously, is encouraging women, helping women to become the best versions of themselves. And so I was like, I'm going to do this mentorship. It's going to be amazing. I'm going to really be walking in my purpose. Like, this is what's going to connect the dot. And when I announced it, all the spots were filled in less than an hour. I considered it to be successful. When I tell y'all, I think it was maybe like week 2 into this 8-week mentorship when I realized I did not like it and I did not want to do it. I was like, God, this ain't it. This is not what I want to do. Loved working with the women. Don't get me wrong, not whatsoever. But it was not fulfilling at all. Not in the least. It was not for me. And there have been several things that I've done with Change Hearts that have been successful, but I wasn't in a good space. And so from there, I realized how one of the ways I wanted to measure success for myself was being at peace. That was what success looked like for me. Not just making announcements, not selling out or being busy, but being at peace internally. And so in considering this idea of identifying and defining success, we have this literal definition of success, and it's not wrong, okay? Dictionary.com is not wrong. The definition said what it said, okay? My attempt is not to change the definition of success for you. More so, it's to get you to consider how you measure success within your own life, and based off of those measures, how are you using that in return to define you? Because that's an important question to answer. There are a lot of ways that success can be measured, and for some of you, you've taken on someone else's idea of how they view a successful person. And a perfect example of this is society. Society paints this picture specifically for women that you should be married by a certain age, you should have purchased a home by a certain age, if you want to have kids, you can't wait too late, you need to do that by a certain age, you should graduate college by a certain age. Heck, they tell you that you should go to college, and I'm not knocking education by any means, it ain't for everybody, but they pretty much tell you, society paints this picture that you should do all of these things. And there's this silent yet very obvious implication that if you have not achieved certain things by a certain age, then you're behind. You're not winning, you're not living your best life, you're not successful. And it reinforces this idea of the rat race of destination addiction, because you can believe that what is missing in your life is what is portrayed as the piece of the puzzle that will make you happy. But here's what society doesn't talk about, and what it doesn't show you is that if you're an unhappy, unfulfilled, discontent person, no amount of success will lift the burden of that going unaddressed. If you are unhappy single, you will be unhappy married. If you are unhappy at this job that pays $50 per hour, you're going to be unhappy at your job that pays $100 per hour. You might be a little more richer, but you still going to be unhappy. Which brings me to my next point, that you have to acknowledge and deal with your stuff. I feel like I say this every episode, and probably I will continue to say it every episode. Deal with your stuff, okay? Stuff does not stop dealing with you just because you don't want to address it. You have to get to the root of what it is that you're actually chasing, because here's the tea. It ain't the destination. What you're actually after is not the destination. It's not the event. It's not the circumstance or situation per se that you're chasing. Majority of the time, it's a feeling. It's a feeling that you're actually chasing. You want this to change because then you would be happy. You want this to happen so then you can feel like you've made it. You want things to end up like this or that so that you can feel at peace. You want these things to end up like this or that so that you can feel at peace, so you can feel fulfilled, accomplished. And what I've learned about feelings is that chasing a feeling will never leave you satisfied because it's always going to want more. Nothing is ever going to be good enough. Everything will be good enough temporarily. It'll give you the fix that you're looking for in a moment, but ultimately you're going to find yourself right back in the same space of how you feel. And I don't think that we need to run from that. I do believe that we should not be led by our feelings, because let's be honest, feelings are mad fickle. They change from here or there. There are times where I am literally over myself because my emotions, feelings, mood, and all of that are doing the most. And I just want to be like, girl, can you not? Like, can you stop? Because this is just, it's too much. So I don't think that we should be led by our emotions but I think we do need to learn how to sit in it to an extent. Follow me on this. A lot of times we don't even realize that we're using things, people, events to satisfy this void in our life. So maybe for you, you jump from relationship to feel loved. You seek accomplishments and acknowledgments to feel competent or to feel credible. You seek these destinations to make you feel better when they have no power to fill the void that you're actually avoiding by the chase of destination addiction. And it's important to have the conversation with yourself. What am I really chasing? What and why am I looking to this thing or this person to validate me? Sit in that, because for some people, the chase is a result of you avoiding having that conversation with yourself. You just keep going to the next thing to find something to make you feel better or to make you feel like you got a win, when you don't actually take the time to acknowledge, why am I chasing this? Why am I constantly coming back to this place of unfulfillment? Why is it that I feel like I need something to make me happy or to make me feel fulfilled? What is it that I am really after? Listen, y'all, we are changing this narrative in 2021. We are not going to continue the same cycles and patterns that have kept us empty, that have kept us trapped in the rat race, and that have kept us from healing because we don't want to have the difficult and challenging conversations. It is past due time to interrupt that pattern. We ain't doing that, okay? We are not continuing to do that. We have to have these conversations. What am I chasing and why am I chasing it? What is it that I'm trying to feel in my life by these events in my life or the things that I'm chasing after? As a believer, I 100% believe that we can spend a lot of time chasing after things to fill these God-shaped voids in our lives, and we prolong certain seasons of our lives trying to fill it with everything but Him. So we'll go to the shopping, the money, the men, the food, the job, the places. We will do all of these different things, and we don't even allow ourselves to step back and be like, God, did I get this to you? Did we talk about this? Is this the area that you want me to give to you? And one more time for the people in the back. Hello, therapy. Is this on? Hey, therapy. Hey, girl. Listen, get healed. I cannot say this enough. Get healed. 2021. If you don't do nothing else, get healed. And can I share something in love? Y'all know this is a safe space, okay? I share my flaws. I share my faults. This is a safe space for us. Saying this in love to you, okay? As you think about this idea of always chasing the next thing in pursuit of happiness, understand that the common denominator is always going to be you. It's always going to be you. So if you're unhappy at point A and you don't deal with you, guess what? You can get all the way to point Z and you will still be unhappy. You can get every single thing that you want, every little thing that your heart desires, and still be unfulfilled if you don't deal with you. I want to encourage you to do a self-check and really just take inventory of your thoughts, your feelings, the emotions, all of that. And I'm not asking you to act as though they don't exist or to be dismissive of them, because that's not the healthy alternative either. I think I'm going to do an episode talking about learning how to embrace the power of the and, because I do think it's important for us to learn that the two things very much so can exist. I can deal with my stuff, acknowledge my feelings, and be very much so present in what it is that I'm thinking, what it is that's coming up, what it is that is triggering me. But I can also choose to not stay there. It's not a matter of avoiding it, it's acknowledging it and then deciding, what do I do now? Where do I go from here? Because I know that this is not productive nor healthy, but I also know I need to deal with it. So we're going to, throughout this season, we're going to learn how to embrace the power of the and, of those two things existing. But what I am asking you to do is to simply consider that as you are taking inventory of this, to simply take a moment to ask yourself what it is that I am really after. What is the root of this? If it's happiness, if it's peace, if it's love, like what is the root of it? And take the time to uproot what needs to be uprooted and take the time to heal. And what that may look like for you may look different for somebody else. And guess what? In the words of Auntie Tabitha Brown, that's your business, okay? It may look different for each and every one of us, and that is perfectly okay. But we have to take the time to really allow ourselves to be healed in this season. I know for me specifically, I always have to bring it back to God. When I'm feeling discontent, ungrateful, uncertain, resentful even at times, I have to step back and evaluate what has gotten me out of alignment. What is out of alignment in my life? I have to ask myself, what has taken God's place in my focus, and what have I exchanged his peace for? Because if I'm anxious, discontent, in chase mode, I've exchanged his peace for my agenda, and that has to be brought back into alignment. And so I know for myself that when I find myself getting onto this rat race, something is out of alignment for me. I'm at a place where I'm looking for something tangible to make me happy. I'm looking for an event, a thing, a person, something to make me happy. And guess what, y'all? Happiness, joy, that is an inside job. You don't need to take that to HR. You need to take that internally, okay? Because that is something that you have to deal with in yourself, because otherwise you're just going to jump from person to person, you're going to jump from thing to thing, and you're going to put yourself in a place where you're not living, you're simply existing. You're existing for the purpose of the chase, of the next thing. And so you don't take a moment to be present in the present, because it's always about the next thing. We're almost going to wrap up. I want to share this little story time. It'll be brief, or so I think. I don't know. But I remember a point in time when one of my best friends and I, we would love to travel. Obviously, COVID has shut it down for me, not so much for her, to be honest. But I remember us just kind of individually having like our own things that we were dealing with. And we had this conversation one day where it was like, we need something to look forward to. Let's book a trip. We're going to go somewhere. I can't remember if that was when we went to Cancun or if we went to Puerto Rico, but one or the other. We're like, we need something to look forward to. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that per se, but the problem with destination addiction is that it can put you in this mindset of you're not living for today, you're living for what you're looking forward to. You're not present and taking in everything that is happening in the right now because you're so focused on something that you want to happen, something that you want to see. And I think that there's a lot of beauty that can be found in simply being present in where you are, being present in your right now. And we can lose a lot of that. We can lose our sense of gratitude even because we're so focused on where we want to be and not where we are. And ooh, I gotta say it. For a lot of us, we have lost sight of the fact that where we are right now is the very thing that we wanted a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. And we've just become discontent with it. We've allowed ourselves to forget about the things that we prayed for. We allow ourselves to forget about the things that we begged God for. We wanted this job so bad. We wanted this relationship so bad. We wanted all of these things so bad. And now that we have it, the chase has made us completely lose sight of it. And we're so focused on getting to the next, moving on to the next, that we don't allow ourselves to take the time to really just sit. And it's not even just a matter of being grateful, but even just taking the moment to be aware and to acknowledge, like, hey, at some point I wanted this thing too. And so let me sit in that. Let me sit in the gratitude of what it feels like to be in the space that I once wanted before I jump and try to chase on to the next thing. So I want to encourage you to get back into alignment. And I want to encourage you to not spend so much time on getting to what is next that you miss out on being fully present in today. All that you've already accomplished and all that has already taken place, because there's beauty in the current, not just in the next. And we forget that a lot of times as we're chasing the next, as we're on this whole destination addiction chase, we can forget that the beauty is not just in the next thing. It's also very much so in the current thing. And joy and gratitude can be found in your current life you have, not just the version of the life that you want. So there's absolutely not a thing wrong with the desire for more, but we don't want to get stuck or get caught up in the rat race of destination addiction. All right, y'all. Y'all all right? Take a breath. We good? I hope that you all were able to take something away from this episode that really helps you to put things into perspective for you. And listen, if you were listening, you're like, you know what? This doesn't apply to me, but my girlfriend, my girl, she really needs to hear this. Sharing is caring, and it's free 99. So make sure that you share it with a friend, and let me know in the comment section how you have either overcome destination addiction, if you related to this, some tips that you may have for other women, because I think it's very much so something that a lot of us deal with. We may not necessarily give a title to it, but it shows up in our lives in a lot of ways. And so this is a safe space to open up and talk about it. But I hope that you all were encouraged. And until next time, be whole, be healed, and be authentically you. Bye.
Thank you so much for tuning into A Change of Heart podcast. I hope you were encouraged, and please take a moment to share with a girlfriend, and don't forget to download the episode. Lastly, I would love to connect with you. You can follow me on Instagram at Angel C. Walston and at A Change of Heart podcast. Have an amazing week, and don't forget, be whole, be healed, and be authentic.